good afternoon, and I'm Bill Vick, and we are at another episode of You Are Not Alone. And we're not alone today with Yi Yang of Summit Engineering. And good afternoon, Yi.
Good afternoon, Bill. Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure, and we're looking forward to talking with you about the work you do with Summit Engineering and so forth. So tell us a little bit, what is Summit Engineering and what kind of engineering work do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, Summit Engineering is a engineering company in Santa Rosa. It's been around for about, I say, 47 years, founded long before me. We do civil engineering, structural engineering, electrical engineering, water and wastewater engineering, and we also do planning and permitting in the as part of our services in terms of entitlements and then building permit applications and master planning for facilities.
That is extensive engineering work, and I have a feeling that you're quite a bit involved with many of the projects, both I would say, commercial and also governmental.
Yeah.
You do schools at all? Are you involved in?
No, so some is actually this is why I probably stayed around. It's a unique place, and when I first started Summit, and this is back in the days, and I came in. I asked them, "What do you guys do?" He said, "Well, we're engineers and work on wineries." And
There
I
you
said,
go.
I said, "Oh, really? There's no such thing." And of
Hmm.
course, there is such thing, and that's what I'm doing now. So, majority of our work, more than half of our clients are wineries. And our work is engineering support for wineries in terms of renovation, expansion, new wineries, do structural design, civil design, and most importantly, our wastewater engineering is probably the I will say, we have a good reputation, reputable firm for wastewater, challenging wastewater problem or any wastewater problem. So I recall seeing a list of projects Summit has done, in sort of Northern California. There are many hundreds of wineries that has Summit has touched on in terms of wastewater system design, and we still do today. And there was increased regulations and environmental concerns. The treatment of the wastewater is a big deal, and then also in California, there's a drought and there's a
My
perpetual
gosh,
drought,
yeah.
perhaps, and get for a winery cannot be a winery if they cannot figure out where the water is coming from and where is it going.
You know, there's a Sonoma County Alliance is a group that I belonged to many years ago,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
excellent organization. And one of our meetings, we had people from Sacramento who came down and spoke about water treatment, wastewater, standing water, flowing water, rivers, and the wine industry and how it was impacting on the wine industry. And I was just amazed at the regulations, requirements, and so forth. So I would think that would be super challenging work for
Yeah,
Summit and for you.
yeah, yeah. There are new state regulations mandating wastewater treatment process or requirement, if you would, for wineries up in the entire state, and we are knee deep in many of those to help the winery to assess their current systems capability or gap to the regulation and how to update them if needed. And we're also very involved with the government agencies on essentially help them to establish those metrics and policies that make sense.
Would be like a standard wastewater? What would you go to a winery? Let's say you go to and uh, you go to the winery, and what are you looking for? What would you say? Let's say that they do 50,000
Yeah, yeah.
cases a year.
Yeah, in to that end, the wastewater treatment system design, let's just say it's a new winery. If you want to build a new winery
Okay,
that
yeah,
has a
a new winery.
with a target, production capacity of cases or gallons or whatever it is, we will do the analysis to determine what amount of wastewater can potentially be generated with that level of production
Hmm.
and then come up with a recommendation on what treatment options you can have for give options that encompasses sort of multiple criteria. For example, if you have if you have the land, there's a pond people have seen,
Right,
lots of
exactly.
wineries,
Yeah,
and
very
yeah,
common.
yeah, yeah. If you don't have the land, because that's valuable vineyard space, and if you don't have the land or don't want to use the land, there are these called high rate package treatment system that basically is a machinery, right? It says a mechanical system the size of a semi trailer. You hook up the dirty water on one end and then the treated water on the other end. But
Oh
those
my gosh.
systems can be a little expensive, and then they're energy intent. They use energy, and they
Hmm.
need maintenance, but they take a very small amount of space. So there's a variety of need, and then there's the maintenance cost. There's a startup cost. There's again, often it has more to do with constraint on physical space because not everybody has,
It has all
this.
the land that they
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
make these things
yeah,
go.
yeah,
How about with the terrible fires we had over the last 10 years here in
yeah,
Sonoma County and Napa, uh, the impact that on engineering for Summit, are
yeah,
you part of that effort to try to
yeah,
mitigate that or
yeah,
in any
yeah,
way, help fight fire?
yeah. So most of our work is focused on wineries, obviously, and the other big portion of work is single family residence,
Oh,
custom
really?
homes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Custom homes in anywhere really. And So in terms on the winery side, the impact, we certainly have a client who lost their wineries, and then
Yeah,
that
tragic.
we have one project where we're in the middle of redesigning it for future potential expansion or reimagining of the existing facility, and they did decide that yeah, we're not doing it, so they abandoned the project because the fire destroyed
Well,
the
they can't
existing
get
winery, and they
insurance
didn't come
and
back.
expenses are really through the roof.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so those are direct impacts. The indirect impact is, and the couple was, COVID and all that. The construction cost has been just going up and up, and from what we can tell, and it put a lot of clients, on pause, thinking, okay, can I still afford to do the project I thought I was going to do 8 years ago? Because the construction cost is higher than expected. And
Hmm.
so there's the impact on that. And there's, certainly the fire. There's a lot of home gets rebuilt. Now, some engineering was not, we were not involved in many of the home rebuilding, effort. But
Right.
there were a few that we worked on, and our custom home market is pretty small in the sense that there's limited number of clients that we work for. Uh, but there's definitely that sort of in terms of the current design, like the project we have now, designing homes on the hills. It's a common topic that we have a backup of the fire protection system, and it's not something we talked about 10 years. Nobody talked about it 10 years ago. Exterior
But now
sprinklers and
yeah, it's almost
yeah,
part of the planning process.
yeah, yeah. Now it's just like yeah, of course we're gonna have that,
So
and
what does Summit do when what do you build in? Let's say I've got a beautiful home, I'm in
yeah,
Shiloh or someplace like
yeah,
that, it's brand new, and I
yeah.
call Summit and said, I need your help here
Yeah.
for fire mitigation. What are you going to do for me?
Well, so for the truth though, for us, for the engineering services we do, civil, structural, electrical, we can't
Hmm.
really we're not the fire protection expert. Well, we
Okay.
can play a supporting role. For example, we have this project where we have the client wants, fire protection system that draws water from a pond on its property. So we need additional electrical power and
Hmm.
design a system to back up generators so the pump can run, when there's a fire.
Right. You do the
Uh,
piping as well,
yeah,
plumbing
yeah,
out to it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The plumbing. So it's not like we have any original ideas about fire protection. More about if the client wanted to hire a vendor for a particular type of wildland and fire protection system, we play a supporting role on making sure that there are infrastructure to make it work.
Excellent. Excellent. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, what got you attracted to engineering? And tell us about your background a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll go a little further back in my background.
Hmm.
I was born in China.
Okay.
I came to this country when I was 14 and a half, almost
Hmm.
15 years old. I grew up, we landed in essentially in Ohio. And I grew up in Ohio, I guess. I went to high school there, went to college there. And when I started college, yes, with all the, kids like my children dealing with that today, like what do I study, right? So
Right.
generally speaking, there's some family influence, and I somehow that. from family, members say, yeah, you should study engineering. It's a good career choice. I'm like, okay, great. I'll just do that. I didn't know better.
That's right.
And it just so
Guidance
happened
is
that,
always a good thing. Yeah.
yeah, so it happened that I got pretty good at it. And then but what engineering, right? So, civil engineering was a choice I made at the time. And I thought, yeah, I like to build stuff, or buildings or
Yeah.
whatnot. And then they got me interested. And then um so anyway, so that's sort of a really kind of, set the tone for the rest of the career. So I started working as an engineer, and then when I joined Summit in 2001.
Now, what got you to
Um,
California Summit?
yeah, so I like I said, I went to school in Ohio. I graduated, I worked in a few different places.
Hmm.
Honestly, what attracted me here is just the weather. Sonoma County, I don't know if you ever lived in Sonoma County for an extended period of time, you don't want to leave.
No, I will tell you this, I came from Arizona.
Yeah.
It didn't take me very long to realize, yeah, I think I'm home.
Yeah, yeah. So my intention was to move to California for the sunshine. I know it
Yeah,
sounds generic, but that's really simple as that. And I found a job at Summit, and then never left.
fantastic.
And because I like, wow, living in Sonoma County is great. Working on this thing called winery at the time I didn't know anything about. It's very
Exactly.
fascinating. But yeah, I got attracted to it, and then stayed around. And I tell everybody that if you stick around long enough, you're gonna run the place. You know,
Exactly. It's by
yeah,
attrition, it works out. So
yeah,
your family's here as well?
yeah. We got married. My wife and I got married here. So we met in Ohio. We got married here. We have three children. My oldest, he's 19. He's a sophomore in college in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, and I have two younger ones, a junior and a sophomore in high school. And,
Fantastic.
and we
Yeah.
live in Petaluma. And again, we moved to California. We found a place in Petaluma and never left. We're in Petaluma for the last 23 years.
And you're also a Vistage member, I understand. I'm a Vistage chair here in Sonoma County, and you're with Bill Kern's group, wonderful group. Tell us a little bit about your Vistage experience.
Yeah. So I became the president and CEO of the Sun Engineering in 2018. That's sort of the year of the transition. And I didn't know at the time, but I learned now that many of people in this role at the beginning had this serious imposter syndrome. This is not something that's uncommon. And I had some coaching and advisors at the time. I asked, hey, I need to talk to people like peers in the business. Is there a group
Hmm.
around here I can talk to, just because there are many things, a challenge I have. I didn't know who else to share that with, other than, of course, I can get a executive coach and kind of talk about that. But I was looking for a peer group at the time. And she said, "Oh, I have a friend who's, in this thing called Vistage, and you should check it out." So I went on the Vistage. This is kind of apparently a very unusual way of joining Vistage, according to my chair, Bill Kern. I went to the Vistage website, literally. Went
Hmm.
to the, inquiry,
Right.
contact us thing, and I sent an email or message, hey, I'm curious about that, I want to join, and I want to find out more. And a couple of days later, I got a call from somebody,
Hmm.
just to get my information, and then ask some basic questions. And then a few days later, I got a call from Bill Kern, and then that was in September of 2019. And he said, "Why don't you
Wow.
come down to that year? There's a summit, Vistage Summit in San Francisco. So why don't you come down to San Francisco, and then as my guest, just check out this summit, and then you can meet the rest of the group and see how you
Hmm.
like it." So I went down there, and this Vistage Summit is a sort of all day events. They're
They're
guest
wonderful
speakers.
events. We usually
Yeah,
do them every 2 years in
yeah,
San
yeah,
Francisco in the major cities. I
yeah.
think this year we're doing something. It's not a summit, but it's like a more of an experience. I think we're going to try to get out in the bay and see the Blue Angels,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So I went down there, and then right away, after the speaker events, and then this is like, I don't know, 4 o'clock ish, and then he said, "Oh, we got a room, like a conference room in this hotel. Let's all go meet over there." and hey, they need process issue on the spot.
Wow, fantastic. And talk about processing an issue. And by the way, it's the power of peers that makes
Yeah,
all the difference in
yeah,
Visage. It's the idea that it's not a consultant or academic talking with you about your business, and they have a lot of great ideas. There's nothing wrong with
yeah,
that. But it's the man or woman that's in the trenches with you. They're in a different industry, but they
yeah,
face that imposter
yeah,
syndrome,
yeah,
isolation, and
yeah,
challenges. But talk a little bit about issue processing and what that means
yeah.
to you.
Yeah, before I do that, the other thing I want to say about Vistage is that my
Hmm.
experience is that so this is 2019. Now, who
Hmm.
knew by early 2020 we're shutting down
Exactly.
and
Wearing
sheltering in
masks
place.
everywhere and standing 6 feet
Yeah,
apart.
and so we're doing on Zoom. I have to say that it was such a valuable experience that I have some people in the group to talk to about. At the time, I know nothing about what are we doing with the HR policies and work from
Yeah.
home policies, and none of us actually knew any of that stuff at the
Yeah.
time. What to
Remote
do with
work,
it?
all those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no idea. So it's so glad to have somebody to kind of sort of group of peers to talk about. Hey, what do you guys do? This is what we
Exactly.
do. And by the way, we learn about this, don't do that. I mean, it's so valuable. I can't imagine going through COVID, in my role without that level of peer support. It's just going to be so difficult. We're
That is a
just,
wonderful testimony
yeah,
for the power
yeah,
of peer groups and
yeah,
Visage in particular.
yeah. So going back to the question about issue processing, one of the things that's I learned quickly about the power of, to your point, the peer group, right? Is that what I realized is after I joined the group is that people in my group and any of the people of this group has different business. I'm an engineer. We have a banker. We have a technology person. We have attorneys. We have a logistic. We have,
Hmm.
contractors. Also, in all different fields. And I quickly realized that we all have the same problem. It may start out as a different problem, but when you start peeling the onion the way you realize we all have the same problem all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And which basically led to the notion of, well, we can help each other solve the same problem we have because I may have seen that problem before, and that's how we dealt with it, or I'm
Right.
going through right now. Let's compare notes. That was kind of a revelation for me. At the beginning, I'm thinking I'm joining this group was they don't know my business. They have no idea what I do, and I don't know what they do. But once you get to the root of this issue that they're having, oh yeah, I have the same problem.
Exactly. We might be dealing with engineering, we might be dealing with law, we might be dealing with construction, but we're facing the same problems, which is people interacting with
Yep,
people and managing people. And to me,
yep,
that is a challenge and always will
yeah,
be.
yeah,
As the leader, as the CEO, you have to manage that. And sometimes it is very difficult.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, listen, what are some of the what's the outlook for Summit Engineering as we look at all of the things in the wine industry that is going
yeah,
through enormous changes,
yeah,
consolidation,
yeah, yeah.
and then we look at the fire risk and then the risk from the government
Hmm.
demanding certain things. So, how do you see
Hmm.
the future for Summit?
Wow. I don't have obviously a magic 8 ball, but is it what there is a general agreement on the trending of the wine industry, which
Okay.
is one of our biggest, client market, that the wines are, a little bit the sales, if you would. Again, I'm not in the business of selling wine, but they're a little flat. People are not buying as much wine. You can, perhaps it's due to the over, stocking during COVID, or perhaps it's because people shift in culture. And certainly this is a topic that my, clients talk about. I hear them talking about the shift in culture and, generational differences, right? The younger people
Yeah,
don't
I know
drink
that
wine.
millennials and Gen
Yeah,
Z are less
yeah,
likely to
yeah.
drink wine
Yeah, and a lot of
as
our
a group.
clients are, yeah, they're shifting towards different packagings or different type of
Yeah.
beverage,
Mhm.
perhaps, and zero alcohol or low alcohol beverages like apparently a big deal these days. And so we're cautious about sort of the growth in at least in our world of sort
Mhm.
of capital improvements and expenditures of wine business. They exist, but they're definitely seem to be a little less than time before.
Hmm.
But I'm also optimistic that it's just it's a cycle. I've seen this happen before. It goes up and goes down.
Exactly.
Um, so, I'm going to assume that people will drink wine and they're not going to stop drinking wine. They may drink a
Well,
little less
probably,
today.
yeah, you knowing how these cycles go, and you're right, it
Yeah,
is cyclical.
yeah,
There'll be a major report comes out of some,
yeah,
think tank.
yeah,
They'll say that 2 glasses of wine are a minimum
yeah.
for long-term health.
Yeah. And the other thing is that we have to be kind of mindful is that, okay, so let's not focus on wine too much in the sense
Right.
that, as an engineer, our service is needed in every sector. We
Hmm.
need to build infrastructures or housings and,
Yes.
there's never ending needs of housing in California. So
Mhm.
something where we want to look at is sort of the housing market, whether it's a multifamily, something that we haven't really paid a lot of attention to in the past because we're busy doing something else.
Exactly.
But the housing, whether it's a development or single families or in the Bay Area is a unique market for custom single family homes. There's
Yeah.
the Bay Area real estate, however bad people may think it is still a very expensive place. And
Hmm.
there are still a lot of people investment going into housing in that you can there's a lot of renovations and rebuild of homes in the Bay Area and in Marin County and in the wine country. That seems to be pretty steady. It feels that way. There's always somebody want to do those things.
Exactly. What is your geographic footprint,
Yeah.
predominantly?
Yeah. Majority of our work is North Bay.
Okay, North Bay.
Yeah, and but we have clients go from a Central Coast, Paso Robles area to
Hmm.
Oregon. We actually have a client in Canada, but those are
Okay.
winery specific. Summit has a, a we have a pretty. I would say we have a pretty strong brand in the wine industry where if a winery needs facility plannings or engineering services at a large scale, they seem to find us. And
Right.
I
Oh, yeah.
and I certainly enjoyed that reputation.
Absolutely. You have a great
Yeah,
name in engineering, and you're widely respected. And I'm
yeah,
so glad that you're in this area. It was great for you to connect with us on You're Not Alone. Uh, we wish you great success. I'm so glad that you're part of our Vistage network as well. And so I know that we'll run into each other at some event,
yeah,
Executive Summit, or maybe this event coming up in I think it's usually around Fleet Week when they have the Blue Angels, and I think we're going to try to
yeah,
do some sort of social event down there with some Vistage chairs
yeah,
and their members. So something to look
yeah,
forward to.
yeah. No, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Well, listen, I thank you so much for your time and your attention and all the work you do for us. And I will see you at Vistage sometime in the near.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure we'll see you. I see you at some point. Yes, thank you.